Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to the first ever episode of African Football This Week, a brand new series that I'm going to be bringing to my channel on a weekly basis. Now of course, if you don't know what this series is about, which I doubt you will as it is brand new, essentially every single week, hopefully, I'm looking to bring you guys the top African football news from around Europe. Now of course, the way this is going to work is I'm going to be telling you about African football news from Europe's top 5 leagues, along with all your UEFA competitions, whether that be Conference League, Europa League, Champions League, all of that. But don't worry ladies and gentlemen, as it is not just going to be news, we're going to have a few fun segments here and there.
Do you want to play a game?
Of course, in today's video, about halfway through, we're going to be doing Guess the African Footballer, where I give you guys hints and you have to guess who it is. Doesn't that sound fun? But of course, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, this is a brand new series idea. It is something I've wanted to do for quite some time, and I'm quite nervous to be honest with you, because I've got no idea how it's going to go. I would like to thank Willie for this idea, obviously his series Totti, obviously hosted by Bayer Leverkusen's very own Patrick Schick. But obviously, jokes aside, it is that kind of concept. Every single week, your top African football news from around Europe. Of course, if you guys do end up liking or end up enjoying this kind of content, please do subscribe down below, as it does tell me that you do enjoy the content, along with leaving a like down below. But of course, without wasting any more of your time, jumping into the top African football news from around the world, we jump into the Premier League first. Now, of course, we've all heard about those top competitions before. Miss World, Miss Universe, but in the Premier League this match week, it's been Miss Penalty for Africa.
You have lost the fans tonight.
Obviously, we've had 2 African national team captains miss penalties in the Premier League, with Ghana's Andre Ayew missing a crucial penalty for Forest versus Tottenham Hotspurs that could have gotten them back into the game. Also on top of that, we've had the Egyptian king slide off his throne as Mo Salah missed a very crucial penalty for Liverpool versus Bournemouth that gave the Cherries all 3 points. Once again, it was not a good match week in the Premier League for African football penalties, but at least Said Benrahma scored his for West Ham United versus Aston Villa.
I'm stronger, I'm smarter, I'm better, I am better!
Once again, at least someone could get it done. I will admit though, I was quite surprised considering the Premier League is the best league in the world. Considering how many Africans are their main team's penalty takers. I mean, it really is good to them, but guys, next time, let's try and score them. But of course, that moves on to from the Premier League, as there wasn't too much else African football news. I'm really good at English. I don't know why I struggle to speak sometimes.
Me no hablo English.
But of course, jumping into the Italian Serie A, once again, I don't know why I said it like that. It is the first week. We'll get over this by episode number 2, I promise. We've got the Italian Serie A, and looking at African football news, once again, Victor Osihmen did get another goal contribution as he assisted in the Napoli's 2-0 win over Atalanta, which takes him to 19 goals and 4 assists in the Serie A this season, which, looking at Victor Osihmen, a goal contribution for Napoli this season, I mean, do I need to mention this every week? We will realistically talk about him every single week. I mean, fire's hot. We know it. It's a known fact by now. But of course, look at Victor Osihmen being in such fire form. And this week, he's also been linked to the Premier League, as he has come out in an interview to say he is interested in a Premier League move. He has been highly linked to both Chelsea and Manchester United. So of course, we will be looking at him very, very closely. But of course, in other Serie A news, we had a very big game as Inter Milan lost 1-2 to Spezia as they lost to an Angolan footballing goal. Obviously, looking at Mbala Nzolo scored an 87th minute winning penalty, which another African player taking a penalty. Mo Salah, keep notes in terms of how to score penalties in the Premier League. But of course, once again, jokes aside, Mbala scoring that penalty is absolutely massive. Hopefully that gets the name of African football slightly out there a bit further. And it is huge for Spezia as it takes them to 17th place in the league, 5 points above safety. Absolutely gigantic for the Italian club. Obviously, the last little bit of Italian news before we jump into a game of Guess the Footballer is we do have Les, or Blacka, I've got no idea how to pronounce it, lost 2-0 versus Torino, where Ivory Coast's right back / right wing back Wilfried Singo scored from a brilliant set piece goal. Obviously, looking at the Ivorian, I mean, that's one of the best set pieces in Italian football since Antonio Conte got brand new hair. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into further African news, it is time for a quick game of Guess the Footballer. Now the way this is going to work is there's obviously an African footballer and I'm going to name 3 facts about him and I want you to guess who I'm talking about in the comment section down below. Now of course this could be a past or a present player, and of course whoever ends up guessing it first in the comment section down below, or maybe I'll pick one at random, I will feature your comment in next week's video. So of course if you want that, don't forget to comment. But of course fact number 1 about this footballer is the fact that in the last 4 years he's won both the French Ligue 1 and German Bundesliga. Fact number 2 is throughout his career, he's played with Sadio Mane, Andre Onana, see I thought I'd mention 2 African footballers to throw you off, and Xherdan Shaqiri throughout his career. Once again, let's see if you can guess who it is. And of course the third and final fact about him is the fact that the furthest he's ever made it in the Champions League is a runners-up medal. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the 3 facts about him. See if you can guess who I'm talking about. But that takes us on to the Bundesliga next. Now we do have quite a bit of African football news to talk about, as Bayern Munich absolutely crushed Augsburg 5-2, and more than that, Sadio Mane got his first league goal contribution since November, a drier spell than, well, Sean Dyche taking a sip of water.
I also smoke exhaust pipes.
That man needs to take something. But of course, look at Sadio Mane. That takes him to 10 league goal contributions for Bayern Munich this season. Obviously has struggled quite a bit with injury throughout the season, so let's hope this is a sign of better things to come. We do have other African football news in the Bundesliga, because looking at Stuttgart, they drew 1-1 versus Eintracht Frankfurt, and it was Congolese's very own Silas Mumpa who got a 75th minute winning goal, or drawing goal, should I say. You know what, it's a win for Africa, we'll call it a winning goal.
I see this as an absolute win.
Obviously, that takes his tally to 4 goals and 2 assists this season, although I'm sure he would like numbers like that to go up. Absolutely crucial point. As we know, that does take Stuttgart to 16th place in the Bundesliga, just 1 point above safety. So of course, getting 1 point in a draw like that, absolutely massive. And looking at Silas, he might have just kept Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. It could be crucial come the end of the season. Now of course, jumping into one of our last top 5 leagues, we have LaLiga, which I mean, cue Jose Mourinho.
I prefer really not to speak.
Because looking at La Liga, it was not a good match week for African football. We had Bono go off for Sevilla with an injury, unfortunately. He did pick up a bit of a knock. He had to go off with a neck brace, so we don't know yet how long he'll be out for. We had the likes of Martin Hongler pick up a red card, so he will be missing next match week. And we had Inaki Williams, the Black Stars of Ghana superstar, score versus Barcelona, but it was counted as disallowed. So once again, not a good week for African football. Let's hope things can pick up next week in La Liga. But of course, that takes us to our last of our top 5 leagues, as we have the French League. Now of course, look here at France, we had some top African news, and this is probably where the best African performances came from. Obviously, looking at Nantes, they drew 2-2 versus Nice.
Nice.
Where we had 3 different African stars score, all from 3 different nations. For Nantes, we had Mustafa Mohamed from Egypt. For Nice, we had Terem Mofi from Nigeria. And we had Ndaya Shemeya, once again, apologies for pronunciations here, I'm trying my best, from Burundi. Obviously massive for Africa, obviously for 3 players to contribute towards that draw. It really is promising for African football, especially looking at a player like Mofi, who's now gotten 14 league goals in 23 games, which is more than Lionel Messi this season, which I'm not going to preempt things too much, but I mean, Mofi for Ballon d'Or one day, maybe we'll have to wait and see. But of course, in other French League news, Florian Balogun scored once again for Reims, having an absolutely brilliant season, which I know a lot of people say he's English, he's not technically Nigerian yet as he hasn't played for them. But you know what, England, you've claimed enough throughout your time. It's time for Africa to claim back, because until Balogun is selected by Gareth Southgate, he is still technically out.
No.
But of course, our last bit of French League news before we jump in the UEFA competitions is the fact that once again Marseille drew 2-2 versus Strasbourg in a game that saw some really high potential Africans. As we know, Mbemba, the defender for Marseille, ended up scoring a brilliant goal. And Strasbourg, in the 88th and 89th minutes of the game, once again, I'm absolutely going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but Jean-Eudes Aholou, once again, I'm so sorry for this, scored 2 goals in the 88th and 89th minute. That is absolutely gigantic. I mean, I haven't seen a late finish like that since, Well, maybe I won't share too much of my private life, but of course, absolutely gigantic, and he absolutely saved Strasbourg in a game like this, and he could be a real contender for African Player of the Week. Now, of course, that does take us to a tiny bit of European news before the end of the video, and before who I select is the best African of the week, but we start off in the Champions League. Once again, we mentioned them a tiny bit earlier, but Bayern Munich crushed the likes of PSG 2-0. Choupo-Moting, obviously the Cameroonian striker, scoring a goal, making it 17 goals in 26 games across all competitions. I mean, I cannot believe that man got relegated from the Premier League, and now he's considered to be Robert Lewandowski 2.0. I've got no idea what happened there. Obviously, looking at Koulibaly for Chelsea, ended up picking up a clean sheet versus Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. That's also huge. We had the likes of Top Soba from Burkina Faso, who ended up getting a goal in the Europa League in a 2-0 win for Bayer Leverkusen, also huge. And our final bit of European news is the fact that 18-year-old Moroccan youth player Ayoub Emaroua, once again, so sorry about pronunciation, scored the winning goal versus Sheriff from the left-back position in the Conference League. Once again, 18 years old, looking so promising. A huge win at just 18 years old. He could be the future of Moroccan defense. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our first ever episode of African football this week. Once again, it might seem a tiny bit all over the place. As I said, this is the first ever episode. There'll be probably a bit more organization in future episodes. And as I said, I hope that you guys did enjoy it in terms of the African footballer of the week. Once again, I'm between 2 or 3 players. I'm very tempted to choose Choupo-Moting. I'm also tempted to choose the likes of the 18-year-old. But at the end of the day, scoring 2 goals in the 2 last minutes of the game, I have to go for the likes of Jean-Eudes Aholou. Once again, if you guys have any other suggestions, let me know down below. And I hope that you guys did enjoy this first ever episode. Once again, if there are different segments you guys would like me to add to future videos instead of just the guest, the African footballer, let me know down below. But guys, I hope that you did enjoy this video. As I said, if you did, please do like it down below. Please do subscribe to catch more of it in the future. And I'll see you all very soon. This has been Finn, FYNN, Mo Salah, Mr. Penalty. Ha!